Mike, you brought up something that's very surprising to me and refreshing. You brought up a documentary, a documentary that we watched a long time ago, and its title was a little bit misleading, and we half-heartedly liked it. We didn't know what to make of it at the time, but it was called "Fucking Phone."
It was not called "Fucking Phone."
Angel, alien, and UFO encounters from another dimension.
Yeah, it used to be on Netflix. It got removed, but it is available for free on YouTube. So if you guys are curious, apparently we talked about this really early on in the show. I remember watching it and thinking it was all bullshit, and talking to you and I think Drew Sample on Twitter about it, but I don't remember doing a show about it. But apparently, according to Mateo, we did a show about it, and I called bullshit on it because I thought it was bullshit. And at the time, and for anyone who's been with us since the beginning, first of all, holy shit, you're fucking awesome. Secondly, you know how my beliefs on this sort of thing have kind of evolved over time. And when we first started out, UFOs were aliens. Bigfoot was its own thing. Cryptids were crazy monsters that just kind of showed up from time to time. And that was, ghosts were dead people coming back, and demons were demons from hell, and all manner of craziness. I didn't have this link saying everything's related and we live in a multi-dimensional universe. None of that shit had even come into my head really at that point yet. And I think viewing the documentary at that point in time, I was expecting something different, I think. And a lot of the stuff that the guy was proposing, I was watching and just thinking it was bullshit. And the guy is just drawing, basically drawing pictures on images captured through a old school camcorder at night of lights reflecting on a wall and showing how it's some interdimensional being coming through. But looking at it from a different perspective now, I can kind of see what I think he was driving at. And I do want to rewatch the documentary. I did not rewatch it in preparation for this episode. This was really a last minute thing, and Mateo and I just were sitting here talking about it, and we decided to just record and roll with whatever we end up talking about on this, because we didn't want it. We were starting to get into it a little bit about, like really getting into some of the ideas, and we're like, we can't waste this and not record it. So we're recording it so we can get into these ideas. So I did not do any prep work, so I'm just going from memory. But we just did a quick scan on YouTube, looking through the documentary for some examples.
Yeah, there was some favorite parts I did have in that documentary, and we do have some things queued up. So we'll mention the time. So if you do watch this on YouTube, you can literally go to the time that we're talking about and see what we're talking about.
Yeah. And I mean, we're going to reference images specifically. So for the context, you'll have to kind of move around a bit. But if I remember the documentary correctly, the first half of it was this guy who captured all of this footage of these beings entering our world from some other dimension or some other universe.
Does he have a filter on this camcorder, or is it he's just filming?
It looks like he's just filming. I mean, the quality is utter garbage, and this it looks. I mean, I'm not sure if it really was an old school camcorder, but the film footage certainly looks like it. And he, what he's proposing is that they're able to take shape based on things in our environment. So when they come through, they're not like popping out and moving all around. They're taking form by the way like light and shadows play. So you look in there and you can see this figure. And what made me think about this was I was watching a video about the volcanic eruption in Chile, and there was pictures taken of the volcanic smoke plume coming up, and it took on the form of this giant, and it was filmed by multiple people. There was pictures taken from multiple angles, and every angle it's taken from, you can see this human shape. So it's not like the face on Mars where you look at it from one angle with shadow and it looks like a face. Then you look at it from another angle with a different shadow and you can see that it's like a mountain range. This was, it really looked like if you were to have a 3D figure standing there and take pictures of it from multiple angles. That's what this thing looked like. So it was not like you look at it straight on and you can see the head and the torso and the arms and the legs. And from head on, it even looks like it has like a flaming eye, which was, you know, from the lava shooting out of the volcano. But it really looked like it had a flaming eye. And then you look at it from the side and you can see the side of it, the profile of the head, and you can see the arm coming down and where the shoulder would be in the side of the body. It's fucking crazy. So a lot of people, when this was happening, was thinking that this was maybe some sort of nature elemental that was showing itself through the volcanic eruption. And the fury within the volcanic eruption was what allowed it to manifest its shape. And it was its anger at the world is coming out through this volcanic eruption. And I think that's what this guy was proposing in the documentary about things coming through and not like moving around and jumping, but making themselves seen, manifesting themselves in a way. Maybe they're not from another dimension. Maybe they're part of this world, like what we would equate to being nature spirits, where I guess they would still be kind of in a different dimension, even if they're existing within our world. They're on a different level of reality than we are. And so when they manifest their shape, it's through a means that we, I shouldn't say that we would provide, but that we would be able to pick up on. So, I mean, really from, if we're going down that track, maybe shapes you see in clouds are really manifestation of spirits. Or if you're looking at trees and you see certain patterns in the leaves, maybe that is something manifesting. And it's not just some weird trick of nature that is a coincidence that thing looks like a gremlin in the tree, but it's really just a group of leaves. But it looks so much like a gremlin.
Mm-hmm. I have to say, with that volcanic giant, we'll put the links for the video that talks about it in the show notes. There's a couple other things we'll talk about from this video as well. But I mean, if you ask me to draw a volcanic smoke monster, I would hope I can draw something as cool as this image, because I think it's a little bit more than confusing shapes with stuff. I mean, we all remember being a little kid and watching a scary movie, going to bed and trying to go to sleep and seeing a shadow and knowing that shadow is something scary. You know, it looks something terrifying, but it's just, you know, light, reflection, shadows playing tricks on our mind, like a visual coincidence, I guess. But I have to say the same thing for a lot of the stuff that's in this documentary. He is filming just, you know, like his backyard. And like you said, the quality is so poor. Maybe that's why I think there's some type of filter, like a night vision. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But I think the things that he's filming in this documentary, there's plenty of stuff that I think it's just more than your mind putting together the puzzle pieces of an image that doesn't make sense. There's some weird things on there, and they're so weird. There can't be an explanation. And I think that's why you kind of shot it down when we first talked about it, because he's like, check out.
Because it was because it was like, I was looking at it like the people that see Jesus in burnt toast.
Yeah.
But what if even that is a manifestation of some sort of spirit? You know, like even just a little nod, like "What's up?" You know, just peeking through.
Yeah,
and it takes on the image of Mary or Jesus, and maybe I think a lot of these things, a lot of the phenomenon when it occurs, kind of ties into the belief systems of the observers, and we've talked about this before with religious experiences in a lot of ways, tying in with alien experiences or ghost experiences. A lot of similar things happen with those instances. Whether it be spectral manifestations, ghostly smells from nowhere. A lot of times with miracles, the smell of roses will come through. And disembodied voices, feelings of being touched, just all sorts of weird things and I think that it manifests in a way that would make sense to the person that's observing it. At least the closest thing to sense. It's still an otherworldly manifestation or something that's not what we would think of as being natural to our daily experience. So it seems weird when it happens, and we put our own spin on it, which I think this guy has an idea of what's going on, and he's viewing all of this through his lens of experience. So when he sees this shadow on the wall and it lines up perfectly with where this ray of light is coming in to make the appearance of a humanoid figure that's on the wall. But he's looking at it as more of something coming through than just coincidence of light and shadow, which is what I was thinking it was to begin with.
One of the first things he gives as an example of one of these things that he's filming, I think he's filming his backyard, and there's some tall bushes or small trees, you pick whatever you want to call it, and there's light from, I would say, the house next door to him, coming from behind these trees, and he's filming it, and there's some spots to where there's just a bright light coming through these trees. Like you say, he's saying that there's more to it than just these weird shapes, and I believe him, because he talks about how, like, even before he says it, you're like, well, that looks like a glowing monk. It looks like a person in a robe. It looks straight up like a monk. Go to, like, I think it's like 1155 in the...
Hold on, I've got it up right now.
Even before he says it looks like a monk, you're looking at a monk. And I don't know why he's catching these things. I don't know what he's doing to capture these things, but I mean, just right off the bat, that's not a light anomaly. Sorry, it's at 9:26. You can see this monk, and it's literally just some light coming through some trees. But again, it's just way more than that. At least visually, it doesn't look like just some light.
This one I feel is less convincing because it really is light shining through trees.
Definitely, but it seems to be taking on a more defined shape than that. That's why when we watched it, I didn't know what to make of it, because I don't understand what's going on again, and it's weird, and but it seems to be taking on more of a shape than what these lights shining through a tree should be. And like you said, maybe that's what it is itself. It's that the light shining through the trees is being manipulated to take some type of form. But I think that monk's a great piece of footage.
Yeah, I don't know. That one is less convincing to me.
Now, my favorite one is the next one, which was at 11:05.
Yeah, it starts before that, and it kind of morphs a little bit.
Yeah, it starts like at 10:50, but at 11:05 it gets pretty clear, and you can see it kind of transform. Like you said, I think you described it as like a medieval engraving of Satan or something. And that's exactly what it looks like. This is some weird beastly monster. And again,
Yeah.
way more than just lights. It kind of makes me think of the Sky Spitter. Like wherever that thing came from, this thing came from there too.
But then he zooms out and it just looks like nothing again.
Yeah, I know. I think that's how they hide. I think that's these things, like we said, kind of appearing, maybe trying to hide. I think that's just like the hide behind from the creatures of the Lumberwoods. Its very nature is almost like to be blurry and to be able to move out of the way. So it's silly because how can you say it was there if you never see it? How is there a legend of something? But maybe it's them just writing about the overwhelming feeling of being watched. But I think that's this visually.
Yeah, maybe those fearsome creatures of the Lumberwoods were things like this. And especially things like they go behind, like you said, because it would make sense. But what are they doing, Mateo? That's what I want to know.
I want to know too. And it just, when I watched this documentary, I was super stoked on it because, as we mentioned when we started, we didn't know what to think of this. But like you said, as you matured and opinions of both of our opinions have changed on many things, but we throw out around the word a lot, interdimensional. And I think that's what this guy's capturing. I think this is like a hellier level of importance of a documentary. I think this guy has figured out a way to capture interdimensional beings. What they're doing there, I don't know, but I mean, just all the examples. And later they go into these weird orb and rod type things, and they're separate from the rods and the regular orbs, but like some of them have faces in them and shit like that. It gets that fucking weird. And I think that these things are just everywhere, just like how Hellier would let on to make you believe that these creatures and all these different things are traveling through the underground tunnels, and they're just everywhere. I think these things in these videos are just what's everywhere. You can apply it to ghosts. Once in a while, we get to see them. For some reason, they just phase through a little bit, or maybe one of them has the ability to manifest itself in our visual presence when it wants to, but maybe most of the time they're just not visible. They're always there. They're all around us. So we always talked about and joked about when they make the ghost glasses, we're going to put them on and go, holy shit, they're just everywhere. And I think that's what
you're going to have one just sitting on your head all naked, just rubbing its bare ghost ass on your forehead.
Mm-hmm. And
giggling.
I think when they make the interdimensional glasses, it's going to be the same thing, but it's just going to be...
But it's going to be spookier.
Oh, yeah.
Because then the ghosts will see the things that are sitting on their heads with their bare butt cheeks on the ghost foreheads.
Oh, my God.
How is it possible? I'm a ghost. And meanwhile, fucking Flurgy the Glibnorb is sitting there with his balls hanging out on the ghost's face. And he doesn't even realize it.
God, the truth is we're just walking daisy chains of paranormal entities.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. There's some astral beings that, without our knowledge, create a human centipede with us. We don't even realize it. We're just going through life and this thing is shitting into our mouth, and there's something attached to our asses, and then there's something attached to its ass.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a challenge I have for you, fair listener. A lot of you guys are very artistic and creative. Let's all, and Mike, you can do this with me right after this. I would like you guys to create the most obscure interdimensional entity that exists in our world. Like, there's got to be ones that like follow people on their hands and knees all day, just waiting for their feet to go upward so they can lick the bottom of their shoe. Like, that's their whole existence.
I'm going to take it a step further, and I'm going to say that this is going to be a contest.
Ooh.
And yeah, first place winner gets a t-shirt, provided we have one in your size, and a bunch of stickers and other assorted goodies. and then the two runners up will get stickers. I'm calling it right here. So you've got, how long should we give them?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. All right, so you've got till, let me pull up the old calendar here. So this show will be coming out on the 15th. So you guys have until March 29th to get those drawings to us. If you're going to email them to us, email them to thewhatcasters@gmail.com. If you're going to throw them at us at Twitter, make sure you tag both of us at thewhatcast and at Last Bone Stands. And then, do you use Facebook much, Mateo?
I go on there. I check it to see if somebody contacts us, but
Okay.
once in a while I'll go on there. But I check it. So if you send it there,
okay. So you can send it through Facebook and also Instagram. I don't use those, but Mateo will share the coolness with me, and we will vote on the best. We will not be asking you guys your opinions because the internet can sway things. This is just between Mateo and I. We will decide, and if we have ties, then Mateo and I will meet somewhere in Michigan and have an arm wrestling contest. And the winner of the arm wrestling contest gets to pick who the tie goes to. But, you know, if there's not a tie, then Mateo and I will stay on opposite coasts and not have an arm wrestling contest.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. If we do have a wrestling contest, arm wrestling contest, we will not film it, but we will give you audio of said arm wrestling contest.
Where it would take place, they don't allow cameras. It's like a super seedy, back alley, dark underworld.
Yeah, like if you thought Over the Top got a little seedy.
Oh yeah, exactly.
No, this is far seedier. And that was the 80s, so, you know, that's pretty bad. But anyway, May 29th, have the drawings to us. Or paintings, or digital artworks, or paper mache sculpture. I don't care. Just tell us what the world will look like when you put on those magic sunglasses.
For interdimensional beings, not ghosts, not aliens or anything like that.
Not aliens. You know, interdimensional beings. What are those interdimensional beings doing when we're not watching them?
You can get as Lovecraftian as you want with this, because just watch this documentary and you'll see what this guy's seeing, what he's capturing, and it's some of the most wild shit your mind can come up with.
I prefer my multidimensional creatures to be sexy and mischievous, as opposed to freaky and terrifying.
Okay, so what would your interdimensional creature be doing?
Teabagging.
Yeah, okay, you're going with the teabagger.
and the human centipede. I mean, that's not really sexy. That's more fucking disturbing and terrifying, actually. But it's comical to think about. It's comical, like when you picture just, you know, that's the sort of thing that makes me. In reality, it's probably horrifying energy leeches covering all of our bodies at any given point in time. You've got the happiness leeches that leech on when you're laughing. Then you've got the sadness leeches that leech on. Then you've got the sex leeches that grab on when you're doing that sort of thing. And then you've got the food leeches that like burrow into your stomach and you can't even feel them, but they're sucking out your sustenance. And then there's the leeches that drain your energy when you're exercising. And oh God, that's what the interdimensional universe really looks like in reality. It's just a bunch of stuff feeding off our energies.
Oh God, energy leeches. There's one right there. That's scary stuff.
Yeah, but they're probably all cute looking, like all fuzzy and fluffy. So if you see them, you're like, oh, you're all unassuming. And then like as soon as they turn around, they've got this huge fang that they just stick into you.
Yeah, some got to be pretty terrible though. Like a ball of like a brain that rolls in front of you that shoots a harpoon anytime you get sad, and it lands in your neck. No,
I just picture it would realize that you were looking at it. So it's like a a really cute storm cloud that's colored blue and just has a sad face. And it tricks you by saying, you just need a hug. And you're like, I do, sad storm cloud, I do. And
then the
give it a
harpoon
hug,
comes.
and then yep.
And it just starts, when it starts sucking out your sadness, it just turns red and starts making this horrible, like 4-toned demon scream.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Its true form comes out. That's gross and scary.
It starts vibrating and humming.
Oh, God. Starts bleeding. You're like, what the fuck?
Stop bleeding on me.
I don't want interdimensional glasses.
I do. I want to party with the energy vampires.
Yeah, but you're going to, like, how long is it going to take you to stop freaking out about the energy leeches? And
I already know they're there. There's no need to freak out. I already know they're there.
I guess you're right. I mean, once you put them on, the only thing that's going to change is that you can see it.
Go on an emotional roller coaster and just see what happens, man. Just run the gamut. Find the funniest movie you can, watch that. Find the saddest thing that'll make you cry and do or watch or whatever that. Then fucking eat the greatest tasting food on the planet Earth ever, to you anyway, and see what happens. And then cry again just to throw them off. And then get really pissed off. Think, stub your toe or something, or have a stranger punch you in the dick, and then see what happens. I'd be shedding them and gaining them left and right. It'd be crazy. The sad ones would be like, he's so sad. Oh, but now he's happy. What are we doing? And then they abandon ship, and the happy ones come in, and they're like, oh yeah, happy, woohoo. Just fuck with them, man. Because I'm sure they get used to your routine. They're like, oh, I know what this guy does. And they're probably part of what shapes your routine, because it works for them.
Yeah, they probably like change things and sway situations to keep you in a routine.
Yeah, they do. They're like, you know what? This is the way that it works for us. This is feeding time. So and you fuck with that. They don't know what to do. So just fuck with them, man. Live by the seat of your pants. Provide them with nothing but chaos. That's how you beat
Watch,
them.
I'll get the interdimensional glasses, put them on. There'll be a lizard wizard. I'll choke it to death. Then I'll get arrested because people are already fighting for the rights of interdimensional creatures.
You'll get the lizard wizard, and he's gonna be like, so you'd kill me, huh? And then he'll fucking shoot you with a magic missile.
That's all right. I'll deflect it with my burly barrel chest. And kick his dick into infinity.
Lizards don't have external dicks.
I'm going to kick him so hard, it's going to penetrate through his pelvic region and reach.
It's going to rupture his internal dick.
His little reptilian internal pecker is going to explode on the tip of my boot.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Yep.
You are a cruel. So not only do you want to make sure that he gets shot in this reality, you also want to kick his astral dick through his back.
In his reality, yes.
Into infinity.
Uh-huh. I got to make it clear. Right. When I put on the glasses, I expect this lizard wizard to go, oh shit, it's him. Because to them, I am a great lizard wizard murderer. And I'm going to go, you don't move. And then he's going to try to run, and I'm going to grab his robe.
Your cruelty is fabled among the lizard men.
I'm going to grab his robe, throw it around his neck, jump on his back, sink in the hooks, and put him to bed. Take pictures of him with his pants down. Let him wake up and say, go tell your friends. Not around here. Not around me.
Go tell your friends the legend lives on. Don't hiss at any Americans, motherfucker.
Man, woman, or child, you lizard bastard.
If you want to hiss at someone, go hiss at the damn finish. Nobody's hissing at them. You scaly bastard.
You limb regenerating piece of shit.
How dare you hiss? How dare you? I don't know, Mateo. You're a cruel bastard.
Only to lizard wizards. I don't think I'd be so... I don't know. I think the creature that's in this documentary at 11:05, I think I'd be hostile towards that as well.
Fuck that, man. If I saw that thing, I would not be hostile. I would be fucking gone. I'd be like, oh shit, that wall just opened up eyes and it's frowning at me. I'm going away now, and I'm never going near that wall again. Fuck you, wall. Fuck you.
In reality, that's what I'd be doing too. If that thing, I can't wait for you guys to see it. If you haven't seen it already, but it turns into a straight up monster. That thing, like, you'd question reality and religion and fucking your whole life in 1 second and run. I thought the Bible was a joke. I didn't think demons were real.
I still don't think demons are real. I think it's all part of whatever all this shenanigans is. It's just one way of observing it. You know, like, really, when you think about it, there's, in a lot of cases, there's not much difference between demons and the jinn and a lot of the trickster myths that occur throughout history.
Oh yeah, I think that's just a cultural thing. I think it's just a different name. Just something called by a different name.
Right.
And we talk about that a lot. We talk about lately since the Hellier stuff, because there's a lot of connections there that you made that I think were great and valid. And for me, when we say everything's connected, I think that means more of all this shit's natural. We're going to get to a point to where it is going to be putting on glasses. And the discovery is that it's just everywhere. It's always been here. It's just on a wavelength that we can't see. I was watching something on different forms of light. I think on some forensic show or something like that. And they could just exist on a spectrum of light that we can't see. And I think it's going to be something that's simple. And I think all this shit's just going to be natural shit that's always been here.
That's the way that I feel about it too. It's paranormal in the sense that we are unaware of it. So to us, it's outside of the norm. But I think it's something that we as a species have lost. And I think that's why a lot of our religions and what we now refer to as ancient myths were all so long ago. And I think that at the time that these legends and myths and religions were developed and created, that we were more aware of what the nature of our reality was. And I know in a lot of cases we being humankind was not as educated or maybe not as technologically advanced in the modern sense, but they had a wealth of knowledge and they had a whole different knowledge base and set of things that they knew that we have no idea about. And in a lot of cases, when someone brings these ideas up, like, we share the universe with disembodied spirits and that they're always all around us. And, like the idea of every living thing and every river, every rock, every tree having its own spirit that belongs to it and that kind of brings it through this existence. And what if there's some validity to that? And so, like a rock, for instance, it's a rock, it just sits there. But what if that is like the anchor point for some spirit to come through? That's their doorway or their window to come through. And that's what they use to anchor themselves in our reality. So every single thing, for everything that exists, there's a spirit connected with it. And we talk of the human soul, and that's not a concept that's strange to talk about. I mean, you've got atheists that don't believe that there's anything beyond our existence, and when we die, it's just black. And that's fine. But it's not. What I'm saying is if you go out and you say that all trees have spirits, 9 out of 10 people are gonna think you're fucking batshit. But if you say, I believe that every human has a spirit, 9 out of 10 people are gonna be on board, or at the very least understanding of what you're saying. So why are we different, and what makes that difference in the minds of people? When did we make the shift where we are the only ones that are able to benefit from a soul or a spirit. Nothing, no other living thing or creation is able to have a soul or a spirit attached to it. And we've talked about the soul being non-local to the physical body on the show before. And that's kind of what it is. Like, our body is what anchors our soul or our essence in this reality. Without the body, we're just floating in the ether. We need that body to be our anchor point. Just like that rock that I was talking about. That rock is an anchor point for something, or that tree is an anchor point. And in a lot of traditions, there's animal spirits as well, and shamans would go on spirit quests to communicate with these nature spirits, the spirit of tree, the spirit of the river, the spirit of the deer. And they would go into these trances or take these substances to be able to mentally get to a level where they can communicate with these beings. And I know you don't have much experience with psychedelics, so but as someone who does partake in cannabis, I think that you could appreciate the trance aspect of it, you know. And I know you've done listened to some of the drum tracks too that Kev has sent you, right? Yeah. And the drums, that's another way to get into the trance without psychedelics. And there's a lot of different ways, but it's all about attuning your awareness and kind of accessing your astral self or your higher being or whatever to be able to communicate with things outside of our physical existence.
You know, you bring up a very fascinating idea. I mean, if we're taking the path of ghosts are spirits of people, or just whatever, like you're saying, this body is the anchor for our spirit. The rock is the anchor for this type of spirit. And if that's the type of energy, if we're to believe that, I mean, the soul's the energy. That's what's coming back after somebody dies, is their spirit, their energy. That's what's causing the cupboards to open and close. This spirit being able to manipulate its energy and do things. If we're talking that way, there's animals, trees are alive, plants are alive, insects are alive, birds are alive. I mean, just imagine all the spirit activity that's already going on and how busy it would be when we do get the ghost glasses. I mean, are we going to see all the dead birds that have died? Are we going to see every dead cow that's died?
Well, I guess that's all dependent on what you think ghosts are. Is the ghost actually the spirit, or is the ghost an energy imprint? You know, maybe you'll see the energy remaining. Maybe the energy no longer exists on this plane anymore. Maybe the ghost phenomena are really just these beings, these other beings coming through. Or maybe you become one of those beings when you die. Maybe that's the purpose, and you yourself become a ghost until you can find another anchor.
Yeah, you got to re-anchor. Very interesting. Wouldn't that be such a bummer when they do make the ghost glasses and they're like, we just know they're here and we can see them, but we don't know why? That would still be so disappointing, because if that's something like that.
If you couldn't communicate with them, you see them, but you have no way to, unless you can teach them sign language.
Yeah.
Like they're fucking gorillas.
What if they become extremely pissed and hostile because now you're in some way invading their space on this plane?
Yeah, they're like, whoa. It's cool for me to put my balls on your forehead, but don't you dare come in here. You crossed the line.
It's hilarious. Just earlier tonight, my youngest daughter walked by the bathroom, and she stood there for a second, and I was doing something, and I saw her, and she walked right back. I was like, "What's up?" And she was like, "I swear to God, the bathroom light just turned on." And I said, "Okay, don't worry about it. It's probably nothing." And she went to go back to where she was going, and she stood there for a second and came back. She goes, "Dad, the bathroom light's on now." And I looked and it was on. And I was like, I was like, what do you think it is? She goes, I don't know, but that's probably a ghost. And I was like, let's go see if it's a ghost. So I was like, what do we do? What do we do? And she goes, I don't know. I go, let's do this. And I crept up as quietly as I could. And I kicked the bathroom door open so hard and so fast. And she was like waiting for something to be there. I was like, nothing. And she was like, I was like, it's always nothing. I was like, it could have been something flying by the window, plane blocking the shadows. It could have been anything. And she's like, what if the ghost is going to the bathroom? And it just made me laugh. I just pictured something sitting there going, I am trying to shit. As I kicked open the door as hard as I could.
Stop kicking the door, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, or what if I kicked it and something stopped it from opening all the way?
You literally scared the shit out of me. Didn't you say that happened one time in the bathroom? Something was resisting the door?
Oh, yeah. Here, too, at this place.
Oh, really? It was at that place? Damn. That's fucking scary.
Yeah, that was one of the scarier things I've had happen.
Did you talk about that on the show, or was that something that we talked about?
I think we talked about it on the show. Oh. Guys, we're sorry. I mean, we're at like over 300 episodes at this point.
You're going to get a mixed bag there. You're going to get people that'll be like, yeah, you did talk about that on the show before. Then you're going to get a bunch of other people be, what episode? I want to know the story.
Yeah.
And the answer is we have no fucking clue what episode it was.
Yeah,
sorry.
There's plenty of times where people go, hey, have you guys covered that? And we go, no. And someone will chime in and go, you have. It's episode this. Oh, sorry. We just don't know, guys. We just don't know.
We can only retain so much information at a time.
Yeah, every new episode we do, I got to boot an old one out of my nugget. So I got a constant maintenance. Somebody told us recently that they were listening to episode 1. God.
Ew, gross. Why would you do that?
Oh, God.
Terrible.
I immediately apologized.
Yeah. How awkward was that? Pretty fucking awkward is the answer. I don't know. I have not gone back and listened to it since we did it, I think. I listened to it when it came out, and that was that.
Yeah, you've made mention many times on the show that doing a podcast is very unnatural for you with like a social anxiety and stuff like that.
Right.
I have the same level of anxiety that I get from listening to my own voice, and it instantly makes me mad. Like every time I go to edit the show, I start and most of the time I'll start the show and I just instantly 4 seconds in, I'm all I just hate hearing myself talk.
I used to have that issue, but I determined early on that if we're going to be continuing this, I should get comfortable talking. And so what I used to do is when the episode would come out, because Mateo does all the editing. So once we record, if I won't hear it again until it's released, if I choose to listen again. So because I'm so unnatural at public speaking, and I know it's not really public speaking because it's just me alone in my house, but at this point it's very public speaking, and there's a lot of you that are hearing my voice right now. So it's weird for me, or it was weird for me to do this sort of thing. So what I would do is after Mateo released the episode, I would go and listen to it and really, really like listen to the things that I would say. And there's still things that I do, the you knows thing, when ending a statement with you know, that drives me fucking bonkers. And I still do it, and it pisses me off every time I catch myself doing it, which is usually after I have already done it. But I remember listening to shows back in our first year of doing it and just hearing a lot of things that I would do over and over again, whether it be certain sayings or certain, I can't even really remember at this point, but it helped me a lot to listen. So I just got used to hearing my own voice. So it's not even weird anymore. I remember the first time hearing it, I'm like, that's not how I sound. I don't sound like that. But yeah, I do sound like that. It's just weird because I don't hear it from an external place. I hear it internally, so it's different.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm fine with hearing my voice now, and I'm just, it doesn't bother me anymore.
Not for me.
And getting on and like really after probably the third episode, at beyond that point when it was just you and I talking, it was fine. I still get nervous whenever we have guests on, like, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it really changes the entire dynamic and theme of the show, because at that point it's more about the guest and less about us bullshitting about evil time traveling Barack Obama and barn owls.
Yeah. That was one thing I was surprised that we got back. I think it was a couple years ago. We said, is there anything you guys wanted us to change or to start doing? And one of the most heavy responses we got was downright no more guests.
Yeah, no more guests. So we didn't listen completely, but we did tone down the guests, as I'm sure you guys have noticed since probably episode 200 and on. We've only had a handful of guests, and it used to be we would seek out guests to come on, and now it's we don't even bother anymore. We're just like, nah, we'll keep it the way it is. You know, if someone were to like it's fun if we have someone on who understands the show, you know, maybe someone who's listened to the show and is familiar with us, or that we know personally. Like when we had my cousin Shane on, that was, you know, that he understands the show and I know him on a personal level, so it was fine. But you know, then you've got other people that come on and it's like pulling teeth trying to get a decent dialogue going, and then it just ends up being question and answer, which is fucking boring.
I wish I wasn't so aggro and I had saved all the episodes that we couldn't air because of shit like that. I wish I had all those. It would be so funny to listen to now. You guys would be shocked at what has stopped us from putting out episodes with certain people. Almost anything you can think of at this point has happened with it, like trying to record with a guest.
Yeah, we've literally had to reschedule with people before, and luckily there have been times we've rescheduled and it's been fine. There have been other times where we've done a show and then we're like, we can't use that show. We do it again with this. I can't even remember who it was, but I remember there was a time we had someone come on. We'd recorded a show. It didn't work, or something was, I can't remember what the deal was, but something went on with the show. We went to have them on again, and the second time it was just fucked. So we didn't use that one either. We're like, no, not using either one of these.
Drunk people are always fun too.
Oh, God. Well, we had to make a rule after one show, which we actually did publish. And the only reason we did publish is because we didn't have a show to put out in its place.
And I'll be the first to admit, I was drunk for like the first 2-3 years of this show. Every time
I've only been drunk in 2 episodes. Two episodes the entire time I've been drunk. And one of them was St. Patrick's Day, and no one believed that I was drunk.
That one sucked, man. We met up hours before we recorded that, and
I was drinking all night that night. Like, I was pretty fucking drunk. And those people that doubted us, that they're responsible for us not having any more of those shows, because they didn't believe that we were drunk. So I made a concerted effort to get very, very drunk. And I was so drunk to the point where I called Mateo and I passed out on my keyboard while Skype was ringing.
Yeah, you pressed call and then fell asleep before I could hit.
Yeah. That's how drunk I got that night. So we have not done that's the last time I got that drunk too, actually. So I blame the listeners for the lack of St. Patrick's Day episodes. That being said, if you want the St. Patrick's Day episode to come back, just say the word and I'll put my drinking boots on.
No problem.
You missed the boat this year, though, so, start reminding us now.
Looking back is fun.
Memory.
That's another thing that I deal with is with the guest thing, is that getting nervous. That I even, no matter who it is, even if it's somebody we know, we have Derek on, or if we can ever find Aldo again, I would
Oh,
still.
see, those guys, I don't give a shit about. I mean, no, that came out way wrong. Having them on the show doesn't freak me out. Like
No,
those guys, they're fine.
no, not initially for me, but as Skype's ringing, I'll still get like a Paul Hellyer level stab of
Oh, man.
anxiety.
That one really fucked me up. I was like, I just couldn't believe that he had agreed to come on. And I think at that point we were only pulling like it was our first year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or maybe shortly after our first year. But yeah, that I could not believe that he agreed to come on, and I was so shell shocked. I've been afraid to ask him to come back on ever since. But the dude's like 98 now, so I'm sure,
Yeah.
he's got better things to do.
I just loved how we met, like we both had to like make hardcore schedule changes and jump through hoops to be able to meet with the time that was easiest for him. And we still managed to meet like an hour and a half early, and we're sitting there talking, getting ready. And then he calls us.
He called me first and because I was the one that set it up. So
I just hung up on Paul Hellyer.
Yeah, it was fucked up. So he called me, and it was on video Skype. He called me through a video call, and at the time we were recording the show through Skype. We still use Skype to talk, but we've got a whole other thing going on. You guys don't need to know, and I'm sure you don't care. But anyway, back then we recorded our shows through Skype. So in order to have the best quality, we couldn't use video. So whenever Mateo and I would do a show, it's even still, it's always audio. We don't have the cameras on or anything. It's all audio. So Paul Hellyer, the fucking former defense minister of Canada, calls me on Skype.
Did you answer too?
Yeah, I answered. And I said, I hate to do this to you, but can you hang up and I'll call you back with audio only. Make sure you don't answer with video. Yeah. Because and like the week before he was on Russia Today, the Russia Today America network, talking about UFOs with their fucking news anchor with, his face and the fucking background and everything. And then he calls me and I'm like, this is audio only, sir. Please fuck off and let me call you back. Yeah.
That's awesome. He was awesome too.
He was a great guy. And that I wish my biggest regret is, and I shouldn't say it's a regret because he was plugging his book at the time. So obviously he wanted to talk about his book. But I really just wanted to talk about aliens with him, and his book wasn't about aliens. And I felt, I would have felt like a dick being like, "So, how's about them aliens, huh?"
Yeah, for sure. He had an agenda to talk about his book, and that's totally fine. He's a former judge. It was great. I mean, before we started, and I said, just for the record, when we're recording, what do we call you? And I'll never forget for the rest of my life. He said, "You'll call me Your Honor." I said, "Okay, I will."
Yeah, you don't question that. And at the time he was on, he was like fucking, I think he was 93 when we had him on.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fantastic. And he had to leave so he can go do his laps in the pool.
Yeah.
I was like, you fight that podcaster body, sir.
Meanwhile, I look down at my gut. I'm like, God damn it, what the hell am I doing with my life? I should go swimming.
That walking app is not working.
I need to go do laps. I don't know how we got from where we started to Paul Hellyer.
Yeah, interdimensional beings to reminiscing about the show.
To reminiscing about the show. So that's a fun little trip down memory lane. Yep. Hope we didn't lose any of you guys there.
I wonder how many of you guys are pissed right now.
Yeah.
This episode sucked.
You got the interdimensional beings dragging balls on your face in this episode. So
yeah, that's some new information. Yeah. You wouldn't have known otherwise, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. I mean, just don't put your head back and open your mouth ever under any circumstance.
I mean, really, anytime you open your mouth to take a bite of a cheeseburger, there's a interdimensional demon alien pooping in your mouth. So
yeah, there's no limit. There's these things for everything. Every time you take a dump, there's a creature that lives in there.
There's a creature that opens his mouth and gladly accepts it.
Ugh.
And then there's another creature attached to him that gladly accepts that, and so on and so forth into infinity. Somehow we're all connected through demon alien butts.
Glorious reality.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Enjoy the podcast. Get yourself a Whatcast t-shirt or a sticker pack. Who was that dude on that one episode? Try the links in Homie's page. All this and more can be found at www.thewhatcasters.com. Thanks again for listening and have a great week.